welcome. I'm Larry Berkelhammer. This is part 5 of a 7-part series of mindfulness-based mastery practices to improve health and well-being for people with chronic illness and disabilities, or healthy people too who are interested in this. It's presented in 7 parts. Part 5, this is the power of conscious choice. Everyone knows Nelson Mandela, who's a political prisoner, and I've heard it said that he was more of a free man than his jailers as fellow human beings. How many of us would be able to do that? But that's the power of choice. So I want to provoke you a little bit, telling you the secret to living with mastery and well-being. Never do anything you don't want to do. There's nothing any of us ever have to do. Yes?
You have to work.
No, you don't have to work.
I do.
You don't have to work. What would happen if you didn't work?
I'd lose my house.
You'd lose your house. And if you lost your house, what's the big deal about that?
And my family and I are homeless.
Your family and you would be homeless. So you don't want that. So, no. Why are you working?
I don't want to be homeless.
You don't want to be homeless. So then aren't you choosing to work? You're choosing, yeah. So you're choosing to work. You know, a lot of us may, from time to time in our lives, be doing work that we don't enjoy. But even then, we're always choosing to work. Because if we don't, we'd have the consequences of not being able to provide for the family, being homeless. So we make choices. And we're doing this every day, whether we're conscious of it or not. The way to work with this is to identify what matters to you in life. We all have our own personal life values. It's important to identify those values and to live by those values so we can choose our actions in accordance with what matters to us. I'd like to advise practice objectively observing your behavior, and especially your use of language. We all go through life saying have to all the time. I mean, I don't think a day goes by when I don't find myself saying I have to go here, I have to do this, shouldn't do this, should do that. That's not happy making. That's disempowering. What's empowering is to say, I'm choosing to do this. I'm choosing to go to the dentist, or I look forward to going to the dentist. Why? It's not pleasant. Why would I choose to go to the dentist? Because I value my teeth. So I'm choosing to go, even though I don't like it. A wonderful practice, especially for people who are feeling depressed, is every night think of your schedule for the next day, and every morning think of your schedule for that day. Preface every activity with, I'm choosing to. That will empower you and help you feel less depressed. A lot of times, unfortunately, doctors have to deliver bad news to patients. How we receive that bad news is our choice. When a doctor gives a dire diagnosis, we have the choice of, it's always good to accept the diagnosis, but it's never good to accept the prognosis. We can choose to explore options. If only 3% of the people with my diagnosis beat the odds, what did those 3% do? I want to learn about that. Some doctors are more aggressive than others. This is a doctor telling a very elderly patient about his plan for an aggressive treatment, and she's saying, no, I value quality of life over quantity of life, and that's her choice, a legitimate choice, especially at that age. A lot of us don't exercise our choice to ask favors of people because we're afraid of putting people out, troubling them, or of rejection. That's our choice. However, in studies, people who ask favors tend to be healthier and happier. People who are asked for favors and say no, those who choose to say no in the studies have proven to have greater health and well-being. I asked an artist to draw this for me because I go through a lot of medical tests myself on a routine basis because I live with chronic illness. And that's not a fun test. I mean, actually, the test is no big deal. It's the preparation the day before. And I've never met anyone who would disagree with that. Yeah. I remember the last time I did a colonoscopy, I just said had to. The last time I chose to get a colonoscopy, the day before, I told myself I'm going to go through this saying, I'm choosing to do this. Well, I got halfway through the gallon of polyethylene glycol that I had to drink, that I chose to drink. And I kept telling myself, I'm choosing to do this. And I had a very hard time believing that I was choosing. And yet I was choosing it. Because the fact is, I could have stopped at any time, and I didn't. I drank the whole thing. I'm choosing to cook. You know, we have activities we do every day where we say, oh, I've got to cook dinner, got to do this. I have to brush my teeth. No one ever has to brush their teeth. We always choose to brush our teeth. A researcher, Suzanne Kobasa, had a lot to say about this. She created something called the 3 C's. Commitment, control, and challenge. And this is on my website. And it's all about taking control, conscious choice. Ralph Waldo Emerson, experience is not what happens to us. It's what we do with what happens to us. Everything is our choice. How we choose to deal with what happens to us. We can't control external factors, but we can always choose how we deal with those external factors. In summary of part 5, we explored the power of making conscious choice. And I suggested replacing have to and should with choose to whenever you notice that unhealthy language, that disempowering language. In part 6, we're going to go into mindfulness. These are some recommended resources that are on my website, and I invite you to visit my very extensive website, which is a non-commercial public service website. And I thank you for your attention.